Hi everyone, welcome to yet another video of diversity in organisms. And in today's video, we are going to know about the plant kingdom. The various divisions of the plant kingdom, how are they divided, based on what basis, their properties, and each of the parts of the plant kingdom we are going to study. So let's start with the classification of the plant kingdom. So before starting of the plant kingdom, we'll get to know, or we'll just little bit, we'll have an idea what are the characteristics of the plant kingdom or the Kingdom Plantae. So when we talk about the Kingdom Plantae, the plant body is differentiated into specific or distinct parts, that is the root, stem and the leaves. In this kingdom, the plant body is differentiated. They are mostly composed of the eukaryotic cells, that is, they are advanced cells and they are all multicellular in nature. They are not unicellular or prokaryotic in nature, and they have a presence of a vascular bundle. When we talk about the Kingdom Plantae, or when we talk about the plants, we'll get to know that some division of the plant kingdom is devoid of the vascular tissue. Even if they have it, they are not at much advanced level like that of the advanced division of the plant kingdom. So this is one of the important part of the plant kingdom, that is the presence of the vascular tissue. This vascular tissue, its work is to carry the water and the raw materials from the roots to the leaves, and the prepared food from the leaves to the different parts of the body. And another main important point, their ability to bear seeds. They are able to bear seeds. They are able to produce seeds, which is the next step for the next step for their generation. This is how they propagate. Other than that, for the production of seeds, also there are other methods of propagation or reproduction, but when they are producing or reproducing sexually, this is one of the methods of reproduction, that is the bearing of seeds. And the seeds that they are produced are all enclosed within the fruits. This is the most advanced part or advanced characteristic of the plants, that is the seeds that is produced is covered by the fruit, that is, it is protected from the outer environmental conditions. So these are some of the characteristics of the Kingdom Plantae. Now we are going to study this kingdom in detail. Now let's see the division, or how is it divided based on its features or characters. So when we first start to divide the plant kingdom, we'll first divide it into having a differentiated plant body and having a non-differentiated plant body. If you remember the characters of the plant kingdom, the foremost point was it is a differentiated plant body. That is, the plant body is differentiated into distinct parts. So based on that, we first divide the plants. That is, do not have a differentiated plant body and have a differentiated plant body. Now let us see, under having a do not having differentiated plant body, we can put the Thalophytes. The name suggests that is, they are of a thallus-like structure, that is, they do not bear a differentiated root, stem and the leaves. So they have a thallus-like structure where these body parts are undifferentiated, and this comes under, or this Thalophytes is the primitive part of the plant kingdom. And under differentiated plant body, when we talk about, again there is another division which I talked about just in the previous slide, that is having a specialized vascular tissue or with vascular tissue. Without specialized, that is, they don't have the vascular tissue, that is, they don't have particular veins or tissues to carry the food or carry the water and the raw material, whereas here they have those material, or they have those tissues for carrying of the raw materials, water as well as the prepared food. So the plants, or the part of the plant which does not have this specialized vascular tissue, are under the plant kingdom formed under Bryophytes. So Bryophytes are those part of the plant kingdom which are having a differentiated plant body, which have somewhat a differentiated plant body, and they do not have any particular vascular tissue. They do not have any particular tissue for conducting of the water, raw materials and the prepared food. So bryophytes will get to see how or what type of this differentiated plant body they have. They don't exactly have the proper differentiation as we'll see in the higher groups of the plants, but they have some kind of a differentiation which is totally absent for the Thalophytes or in the algae. Now with the vascular tissue, when we start dividing, we are dividing into two parts, that is do not produce any seeds and they produce any seeds. We have told you that as the plant kingdom advances, the production of the seed, that is the mode of reproduction, is a very important feature or an important characteristic based on which they are divided. Who do not produce seeds, they are under that group comes the pteridophytes, and those who produce seeds, again they is divided into two parts. That is, one kind of plant group, they produce seeds, but those seeds are not enclosed. They are not enclosed by a fruit or any other means to protect the seeds. Because seeds are the future generation, so it needs a lot of protection from the outer environment. But one group, they do not protect the seeds. The seeds are open. Whereas the other group, there the seeds are enclosed within the fruit. The group which bears naked seeds are called the Gymnosperms, whereas the group which bears the seeds which are covered are called the Angiosperms. And Angiosperms are the most highest developed of all the plants in the plant kingdom. The Angiosperms, again, they further get divided into two parts based on the number of cotyledons. Based on the number of cotyledons means they are the part where the seeds or the mother plant stores in the food for the future plant. Stores in the food. These cotyledons are actually, they have stored food which provide food to these germinating seeds. Now some plants or some group of the angiosperm, they have one seeded, that is they have one cotyledon, and some are two cotyledonous, that is they have two cotyledons which provide food to the growing embryo or the seed. So based on that, which have two cotyledons, they are called dicots, and which have one cotyledon, they are called the monocots. So this is how the total plant kingdom gets divided. That is, the plants gets divided into first the Thalophytes, which are non-differentiated, and the others which are differentiated. Under the differentiated, again it is getting divided into two parts, that is without a vascular tissue, with the vascular tissue. When it is without the vascular tissue, it is called the Bryophytes, and when it is with the vascular tissue, it is called the, again gets divided into do not produce seeds and produce seeds. If it does not produce seeds, it is called the pteridophytes, and those who produce seeds called the spermatophytes, under which comes the gymnosperms and angiosperms. And the angiosperms again gets divided based on the number of cotyledons, that is into the dicots and monocots. So let's move forward. Now we'll get to understand the different parts we studied about the Thalophytes, the Bryophytes, the pteridophytes and the gymnosperms. So we'll get to understand the characters of each of this group of the plant kingdom or each of this division of the plant kingdom. So let's start with the most primitive one, that is the Thalophytes. They are the most simple and primitive among the plants and called the algae. So these Thalophytes are also known as the algae. They are the most primitive ones and the most simplest ones. The more we go into down or we move forward with the division or we go forward with the classification, we'll see that the plant body, their system all gets more complex. This is the most primitive and most. The name Thallophyta has been derived from thallus, that is the plant's body cannot be differentiated into root, stem or leaves. They are mostly aquatic in nature. They are not found on land. They are not terrestrial. They are mostly aquatic in nature. It is only found in the water bodies, and they contain chlorophyll. They are green in color. You can see they are all green in color, and they are autotrophic in nature. They are autotrophic means they have the presence of chlorophyll, so they are able to produce their own food. They do not have particular leaves-like structure for producing the food, but the chlorophyll that is present in that thallus of that particular organisms helps in the production of the food, and so they are autotrophic in nature. Without conducting tissue, they do not have any vascular tissue for conduction of water and minerals and for the transportation of food, and reproduction takes place through formation of spores. And reproduction is taking place, there is no kind of sexual reproduction that takes place. This is asexual reproduction, and through the method or through the plants of spores. Some of the examples are Eulothrix, Cladophora, Ulva, Spirogyra, and Cara. These are the examples of the algae. You can see that this algae, this Cara, looks like some leaf-like structures, but there is no proper root. It is just like a thallus-like structure. You can see here it looks like leaf, but they are not leaves in structure. If you think these are stem-like structures, no, these are not proper stems also. It gives a look like, but it does not have any root or any system for absorption of water and the raw material. This is Spirogyra. You can see these are all columnar structure. They are like columns and they have just some divisions. It is not that if it just get broken off from any part, it again regrows. So that is the method they generally reproduce. Ulva, Cladophora, they are all, if we can see, they are all some tubular or some columnar structure, cylindrical in nature. They do not have any specific particular growth structure or growth habit. So this is the most primitive one, and this does not, and this can prepare their own food, but they do not have any vascular tissue. They are not specialized, they do not have leaves, but they are mostly containing chlorophyll, and they are aquatic in nature. Next we come to the Bryophyte. This is, if you remember the classification of the plants, this does not comes under Thalophyte. That is, it is not completely differentiated into root, stems and leaves, but somewhat differentiation starts, and this Bryophytes comprises of mosses and liverworts. They are the first plant kingdom, they are the first in the plant kingdom which have both their presence in water as well as on land. They have their presence, they grow on land, but to complete their life cycle, during the process of their reproduction, they need to go into the water. As they spend their life cycle both in land and on water, they are known as the amphibians of the plant kingdom. This is the first step that the plants are stepping onto the land. So they are called the amphibians of the plant kingdom, and they are the ones, the Bryophytes are the ones which marks a boundary between the aquatic and the terrestrial plants. They are Gyraphyte, they do not have any roots, stems and leaves. They are more differentiated than that of algae. They do not have, here you can see for Funaria, they do not have, but it looks somewhat like root, it looks somewhat like the leaves and the stem. But these are not the actual leaves that we know as leaves, and these are not the stem, the roots. They have some rhizoids-like structure which may be unicellular or multicellular, but they are not the actual roots which we see in other plants. They look like thallus and can be prostrate or erect, and as the substratum by means of unicellular, multicellular rhizoids. So here you can see that they look like a thallus structure. Here also they look like a thallus structure, but they bears some reproductive organs. See, for this capsule, for the Funaria, this is the reproductive part. Even for Mertensia, you will see small cup-like structure which goes on the thallus, which are called the gemma cups, and that is also the reproductive structure of the Bryophyte Mertensia. So they are a bit more evolved than the Thalophytes or the algae, but still more development is to be seen, or we will be seeing in the classes of the plant kingdom. The next we'll move on to the Pteridophytes. The Pteridophytes is known as the first plants, or the first plants which have a vascular system, which have the word pteridophyte originated from Greek term kreon, which means feather, and phyton means plants. So they constitute an important significant position in the plant kingdom. It comprises of primitive living and fossil vascular plants. They are the first vascular plants which is to be seen. Here I have not shown you the first vascular plant it is known as Rhynia. That is the first vascular plant and it belongs to the group Pteridophytes, which is now extinct in nature. It is not found on earth anymore, but that was the first vascular plant which was identified. They are seedless, they are non-flowering vascular plants and commonly known as the vascular cryptogams. So they are seedless, they are flowerless, they do not have seeds, they do not have flowers, but yes, here the proper differentiation of the plant has started, that is having a proper root system, the leaves as well as the stems. So this has started, that proper differentiation of the plant body has started, presence of vascular system, presence of chlorophyll, autotrophic in nature. They are totally on terrestrial, that is they are terrestrial. They are not like Bryophytes, which is somewhat on water and somewhat on land, and they are primitive living, and they have in pteridophytes, under pteridophytes we have some plants which are now fossil in nature, which I told you just now. Example, Rhynia, which was the first vascular plant which was identified. So here we have understood the three classes of the plant kingdom, that is the Thalophytes, the Bryophytes and the Pteridophytes, which are seedless and flowerless, which do not produce any seeds due for their reproduction and for bringing up the new generation. So this comes under the primitive class of the plant kingdom and they are known as the cryptogams, whereas the next two groups of the plant kingdom which bear seeds, that is the Gymnosperms and the Angiosperms, they come under the group called the Phanerogams. So now let us understand about the differences between these cryptogams and the Phanerogams as a whole. How do they differ and what are the differences? So just let's understand, the cryptogams are less evolved, we all know, whereas phanerogams are more evolved. Their reproductive organs are hidden. It is not that reproductive organs can be seen from outside. They have well differentiated reproductive tissue and the organs are exposed. And the organs are exposed means you can understand the cryptogams, the gymnosperms and the angiosperms, the flowers, the cones, the pines, whichever is carrying this reproductive organs, they are all to be seen outside. Reproduction takes place by the means of spore formation, and here reproduction takes place by the means of seeds that are produced. Their reproduction takes place through the spores. Here reproduction takes place by the means of seeds that are produced. Here we'll be talking about later about their characters. The cryptogams constitute the Thallophyta, Bryophyta and the Pteridophyta, whereas the Phanerogams constitute the Gymnosperms and the Angiosperms. The examples are Spirogyra, blue-green algae, Rixia, Mercantia, and all the Pteridophytes also you can put Cara, Vaucaria, whereas for the Phanerogams it is mango, banyan tree, then you can call for rose, for any other flowers or any other trees that you see, and even the cycas, the pinus, which are examples of the gymnosperm. So these are the main differences or the basic differences between the cryptogams and the phanerogams, which you need to remember because this where you can get your questions from. So let's understand the features or the salient features of the next group of the plants, that is the gymnosperms. So gymnosperms, as you can see, I was talking about their reproductive organs, that is the cones, and they are so much vibrant, so much big in nature that it is to be noticed. It is not that it cannot be, it remain unnoticed. They are very much to be noticed and they look beautiful in nature. Believe me, if we see the cycas, the pinus, the cones, they are really very beautiful in nature. So let's study the difference or the distinctive features of the gymnosperm. Gymnosperms, gymno meaning naked and sperms meaning seed. I told you the gymnosperms are the particular group of plant kingdom which bears naked seeds. They are mostly evergreen, they are woody in nature and they are huge in structure. They are very tall, They exhibit xerophytic characters. Their leaves and all are little bit on the thicker side. That is, they do not tend to lose water very easily. Many of them are quite large in size. The gymnosperms are most primitive bearing vascular plants and they are mostly devoid of any flowers. Instead, they bear cones. They do not have any flowers. Flowers is only to be found for the gymnosperms. They are devoid of flowers and they generally have a very long life. The Gymnosperms live for a long life. They are mostly found in the cold regions, in the cooler places they are to be found, and they actually are quite big. They are huge trees. You can see the gymnosperm. This is a cone which of a gymnosperm that we get, and such a thing, this is an open cone. So each part of this cone, here we get the seeds that remains attached to the scale of the. So here we can see for the angiosperms, these fruits are enclosed within a fruit which protects the seed from the outer environment, whereas here the gymnospermic seeds are all naked, they are open. And this cone that you can see, and this is the particular cone, this is the cone scale to which the seeds remain attached. The seeds can be seen very well from outside, but in case of angiosperm, we are not able to see the seeds unless and until the fruit is cut or the food is eaten. So this is the difference between the open seeds and the closed seeds of the angiosperm and the gymnosperm. So if you remember, the gymnosperms are those particular plant or group of the plants which produce naked seeds. They are quite prominent. They are quite big in structure, have xerophytic characters. They are mostly green in nature because they are evergreen types, because they are mostly seen in the cooler climates, and they are woody in nature, and they are very primitive vascular plants. So this is more or less the characters which are common or which are to be seen in the gymnosperms, and these are the beautiful cones that you get to see for the gymnosperm. These are really very beautiful to see when you see them on the tree. So finally we'll come on to the angiosperms, that is the most advanced group of the plant kingdom. So what are the distinctive features of the angiosperms? The angiosperms are the most evolved of all the plant kingdom, and they have a diverse habitats. They can grow in diverse habitats. You can see them growing in all temperatures, in advanced climates, in very much diverse conditions. They are angios meaning covered and sperma meaning seeds. So they have the covered seeds. The ovules and the pollens are enclosed in the flowers, and the seeds are enclosed within fruits. So the ovules and the pollens are enclosed. They have a very well developed vascular system. They are the plants which are again categorized. Now, when I told you that angiosperms are again categorized based on the number of cotyledons into dicots and monocots, which will be again get to knowing about. So these are the features of the angiosperms. The angiosperms are variety in nature. They have the variety with flowers. These are the only plant kingdom. These are the only part of the plant which produce flowers. They produce seeds which are enclosed within the fruit. They produce their own food. They have well differentiated roots, stems, leaves. The roots, they have also presence of vascular bundles. So these all are the characters of the angiosperms. They are the most advanced of all the plant system, or throughout the plant classification. They are the most advanced type. Now again they are divided into dicot and the monocot. So now let's understand the differences between the dicot and the monocot, or the characters of each of them. Now let's understand the differences or the characters of the dicots and the monocots, which is the different two types that is found for the angiosperms. When we talk of the dicots, the name suggests that it consists of two cotyledons. Here you can see there are two cotyledons. There are two threads. They are called the cotyledons. The leaves are in branch veins, so they have the branch venation. The leaves all have the branch venation. The floral parts are in the multiples of 4 or 5, or the numbers of 4 or 5. See here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 petals. The floral parts means the petals, the sepals, even the comb. They are all in either 5, 4 or multiples of 4 and 5, like that of 8, 10, 12, 15, like that. And they have a taproot system. They have a taproot system, that is one root, which is the main root. Along with it we get the secondary and the tertiary root. Whereas for the monocots, it consists of only one cotyledon. That you can see, they consist of only one cotyledon. The leaves have parallel venation. The venation goes in the line of parallel lines which does not meet each other, so they have parallel venation. The flower parts are in the multiple of 3 or multiple of 3, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here you can see they are having 6 petals. Here there was 5 petals, so 6, either 3, 6, 9, like that, and they have a fibrous root system. So this is the differences mostly which is found between the dicots and the monocots, and they are the two forms of the angiosperms. Like dicots, if you remember, dicots are most of the plants like that of the sunflower, rose or chrysanthemum, mango, they are all dicots. Whereas monocots, if you remember, they are mostly all the grains, that is rice, wheat, normal what grass you see, they are all for the monocots. Dicots mostly all fruits and even all pulses that we get to know, that is Bengal gram, normal gram, lentils, then your kidney bean, all the beans and mostly all the pulses come under dicots. Whereas all the grains, that is rice, wheat, jowar, they are all come under mono. So this brings us to the end of this video, where we have discussed about the classification of the plants. In the next video I'll be talking about the classification of the animals. Or till then, goodbye, take care, stay safe, and if you have liked my video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Till then, thank you.